I can't lie, I detest this music. But apologies, one and all. We are back, and we'll very soon be able to rejoin the action as we close in on the checkered flag in Q2 for the Dutch Grand Prix. Let's hope there hasn't been any major developments since, and it seems like nobody is out, or nobody has crashed out just yet. We still have 15 drivers, all of which yearning a place in Q3. At the moment, we have Sea Soda Storm. You have to forgive me on names. Curtis Chaos, Barney Dog, Slick, and Pudge Dog. The latter three have not set a lap time. Slick, though, is not past the lobby, so he will definitely be one driver that will not be partaking in Q3. Revokes has started his latest lap in Q2, and you can see the top 9 separated by just 0.4 of a second. This is going to be one epic race. Do not miss a heartbeat of it. Revokes coming through turn 7. You can see how undulating it is, how much camber is put through that corner, but Revokes is thrashing his Red Bull around this circuit. Always ran wide going into turn 9. He slows down, he knows he's understeered. His Gupta displaces Lucas and goes to the top of the timings. We haven't broken the 110s barrier in this session yet, but it is the McLaren and the shade of orange that bubbles above the surface here at Zandvoort. And there's the Grotte in the Alfa Romeo. Coming through turn 9 now. A lot less understeer than Revokes suffers. Having said that, seems like Revokes has come to a standstill on this DRS straight, which the Grotte is just completing now. The Alfa Romeo passes the Red Bull, and it is a quarter of a second improvement through the first 2/3 of the lap for De Grotte. 2 more corners, 2 completers. Pudge Dog climbs into the top 3, and the Alfa Romeo then through the banked turn 14, hoping that he has done everything and will do everything possible to advance into the final stage of the qualifying, and he will hope that he has done just that. He has broken into the 110s, it's the 110.997, and by 28 milliseconds, he climbs to the top. Revokes will hope this time he can deliver the goods. He hopes that he can string together a lap good enough of 2.646 miles to earn himself a place in the top 10 through turn 1. It seems like he's run out a little bit wide, but that could give you the advantage of carrying a lot higher minimum speed. Revokes still, it seems like he's actually struggling with a lot of understeer. Look how much lock he is putting in on that front end. Maybe he's trying to chase a bit too much straight line speed by removing an extortionate amount of downforce. He's down by 1 millisecond through the first sector, and he runs wide. Understeering once more. The tyres are going to be getting dirty. Perhaps it's the tyres that had gone for a half a lap attempt. Maybe they have such short duration that Revokes is, well, he's really up against it. He has to find an improvement, or else he is out of qualifying. For Red Bull, this would be a major setback as Curtis Chaos will take no further part in qualifying. Soda Storm and Barney Dog need to find improvements. Revokes is amongst that pack too. And round the final corner, Revokes is going to come into the pits, and a Red Bull is out in Q2. Soda Storm, well, he's going to have to get on with it because he's running dangerously close to the checkered flag. Barney Dog in the Mercedes, currently P14 without a representative lap time in Q2 thus far. He needs to find it now as Zerkyie, by nearly 0.3 of a second, is clear of the pack to 110.700. Barney Dog then through the final sector, running the curbs as much as he possibly can, trying to put down the power as early as he possibly can. These could be fine margins that could spell the fate of Barney Dog's qualifying. Jammy moving in within 5 milliseconds of Zerkyie at the checkered flag. Barney Dog always missed out. He has missed out on a place in Q3. And so then we have our final 10 for Q3. We also have the relegated 5 in Q2, Revokes, Curtis Chaos, Barney Dogsy, Soderstorm, and Slick. But my oh my, look to the front, 5 milliseconds is all there is between Zerkyie and Jammy. Haas versus Williams. It will be an epic test around this Zandvoort circuit. Don't go anywhere. Q3 is poised to be a spectacular end to this qualifying session. So then, Zerkyie v Jammy. What a prospect it will be. It's Zerkyie, Jammy, De Grotte, Lucas, Gupta, Hydrant, Plum, Axel, Pudge Dog and Aaron, who will take part in Q3. 0.575 seconds is all that splits the top 10. It may just be 2 attempts for each driver, 2 attempts that can really spell the destiny of your race around this circuit. Zandvoort is tight, particularly in the mid-pack. Overtaking is tricky. You want to be starting near the sharp end. Therefore, the battle for pole between Zerkyie and Jammy is bubbling up. But who will it bubble up for? I am literally shaking with nerves. This is going to be, just for a standalone event, the Dutch Grand Prix, we know Zerkyie has been the irresistible force in this championship so far. We know he is the champion-elect, but Jammy is giving him a good run. I know my favourite phrase, a race of attrition. Well, it could just be that. But the battle for pole is what our eyes will be fixated upon. Haas versus Williams. 2 teams that have not scored a point around Zandvoort since Formula 1 returned to the Dutch Grand Prix 2 years ago. Williams must have scored points before 1985 around that circuit. But Q3 is underway. The drivers are heading out on track. That may just be Aaron once more. No, it looks like that's Jammy just getting ahead of him. So yes, Jammy, the lead driver. You can see how tight the pit exit is around this circuit. But Jammy through the banked turn 3. He looks to be the lead driver. And of course, remember, before the Grand Prix itself, we do have a sprint coming up. I believe it will be 12 laps. So, although what I've said about difficult to overtake, you don't want to be in the mid-pack, we have pretty much 48 laps to be had. 48 laps of racing to be had, safety cars permitted, of course, but you could probably see the drivers possibly compromising 1 lap pace because this race is going to be dictated a lot more through race pace as opposed to qualifying pace. But for the drivers, we know how tough the tyres are around, how tough the circuit is on the tyres around this circuit. So the race strategy in both the sprint and the Grand Prix proper will be an engrossing one. But Jammy is going to be the first driver to get us underway here in Q3. He's ran Zerkyie close so far. We could have an igniting battle for pole position. The Williams is the first to ponder on setting the benchmark. But will it be sustainable? Will it be the sovereign lap in this qualifying session? We'll have to see as he blasts through the kinks of turns 4, 5 and 6 and into turn 7. Picking up the throttle, keeping it much within track limits. Taking so much speed into turn 8. It is simply benumbing with these modern Formula 1 cars how much speed can be carried through each and every corner. The Williams is a blur around Zandvoort right now. He opens DRS and charges towards turn 11. applying the brakes. It's purple through the second sector, expected because he's the first driver to set a representative effort. He is, I think, bettered Aaron through the first two sectors as well. So far for Jamie, it's looking good, it's looking strong. As he rounds the final corner, the banked turn 14, he opens DRS, he chases the line, it's a 1:10.949. It's not as quick as his lap time in Q2. There's improvement to be found. He's currently 6.5 tenths ahead of Aaron as Plum in the Aston Martin will be the latest to reach the line, and he splits Jamie and Aaron to move within 3 tenths of the Williams provisional pole time. Hydrant now. He won the first race of the season. He's not going to be setting a representative effort here. He comes into the pits and raises that attempt. Axel now through the final corner. These laps are going to be coming thick and fast. Zerkyie is going to reach the line. Zerkie's on provisional pole by over 3 tenths. Axel up into 5th. And Zerkyie was waiting for his moment. And on these first runs in Q3, it is the championship leader who has found the lap. Lucas, though, so strong through the middle sector. The prancing horse, could it gallop around Zandvoort? Could it be finding race-winning promise? In this qualifying section before the sprint and the Grand Prix proper, the Ferrari looking to give himself a chance, and he does just that. He moves to the front row, he splits Zerkyie and Jamie, and one mighty effort from Lucas, and he is in the hunt. He is in the hunt. You can hear the elation, the relief, back to and from Maranello. Lucas with a solid attempt to move within 3 tenths of Zerkyie. What a mighty effort that was. We thought the battle for pole would be between Zerkyie and Jamie. Lucas has just put his name in the hat. So then Hydrant and Gupta both on outlaps. Let's follow the progress of Gupta. Let's see what exactly he is achieving on this lap. Let's see the consequences of it as he runs down the start-finish straight and into the first corner, dropping down from 8th to 4th gear. You can see minimum speed of 70 miles per hour there, picking the throttle back up towards turns 2 and 3. Takes a tight line going into turn 3. Real light Formula 1, we do see the drivers taking a wider line, back higher minimum speed. Gupta opting to take the shorter route around that corner, but through the first sector it's purple. It is purple from Gupta. At the track in which he made his debut in this racing division back in Season 1, ever since it has been a tale of triumph. In Season 4 it may have been absent from that, but Gupta is the name of Formula Premier. 3 championships and a promising lap to be found. He is hooking up this attempt in a lyrical way. He has 2 more corners to complete, and with 6 minutes in this Q3 session, could it be his first pole position since the first round of the season? Gupta having to settle with desolation in Season 4, and he's shy by 3.5 tenths. McLaren gave it a good go. It's still a very commendable effort there from the McLaren. And in fact, he's only 37 milliseconds away from the front row. I know it's 36, but obviously he set his lap time after Lucas. But what an effort from Gupta, as Hydrant now will be coming to close his second sector. I think he's backed off. He's not going full pelt, I don't think. So is he going to come into the pits? Is he going to be punishing his tyres more by going for another run? Let's see. He will want a benchmark lap time. He will want something to improve upon, but he's backing off through the final corner. So Hydrant, 10th so far in this Q3 session. And he's going to have to find an improvement. Oh my, is he going to have to find an improvement. Plum going for yet another effort, turning sharply into the turn 3 apex, letting down the power. Up and down the hill, around these sand dunes. Plum looking to give his absolute all, and he finds an improvement through the first sector. This is one punishing track, but the drivers are withstanding the pressure and the challenge so far. They are throwing absolutely everything at it and plumb through the exit of turn 10. You will hope that this exit gives him a good enough run, and Meyer might give him a good enough run. Plum could be on for the front row here. And look how this qualifying session changes and shifts here, there and everywhere. In the form of slick, we have seen Aston Martin running out in front so far this season. But Plum on this Zandvoort stage, oh, so close to pole position, or provisional pole position at least. He galloped, he glittered, but it wasn't enough. It gets more engrossing by the second here at Zandvoort. Within a whisper, within a whisker, Plum settling for second place and just almost claimed a provisional pole position. De Grotte finding 3.5 tenths. The pack is just so close in this Q3 section. It's absolutely brilliant. It's competition at its absolute finest. The drivers making the almighty difference around this Zandvoort circuit. De Grotte coming through the final corner with DRS wide open, and De Grotte up into 5th. He displaces Gupta by 1/100th of a second as Excel through the exit of turn 12, lighting up the rear tyres and going for a spin. Pudgedog has seen his teammates go on to the front row. Can he join him towards the front end positions? We'll have to see as he charges into turn 1. Jamie is currently on an outlap. Zerkyie is about to join him for their final runs in Q3. And it has just been epic. The last 10 minutes of this Q3 session have been enthralling, but there are yet more moments to discover. Pudgedog finding 1/4 of a second through the first sector, running out wide in turn 7, that keeps it on the island. You can just see how much the drivers are fighting with the car, although they are pushing at ridiculous levels. They are having to air their cars through each and every corner. I think Pudgedog running out quite wide through turn 10. He's found 3 tenths so far on this lap. He could be on for 7th place. Depends how this final sector goes. Jamie has just started his final lap. We'll cut to him in a brief moment, but Pudgedog through the final corner. I don't think he got the best run through turn 13. A dose of understeer may have just derailed his effort, but he goes P7 and just shy of 1/2 a second behind Zerkyie. So then Jamie finding 2 tenths through the first sector. He's found an additional 10th in the middle sector. He is putting the onus, the pressure on Zerkyie and those that look to claim pole position. He has been on form, has Jamie, around Zandvoort. He's been lightning. But can he be quickest of the lot in Q3? For the moment, yes! The Williams charging to the front, and by 1/10.5, he steals provisional pole position. How does Zerkyie respond? The championship leader, thirsting for a champion's lap across 2.6 miles of this Zandvoort circuit, and by 8/100ths of a second, he has found an improvement. Plum and Lucas are both on laps, but I don't think, Lucas has invalidated his efforts. But through the middle sector, turn 9, Zerkyie, the rear end stepping out a little bit, but he is throwing that hat through each and every apex of this circuit. Creeping towards the end of the second sector, and he has found just over 2 tenths. This is the most awesome response the Haas driver could have given. Little bit of understeer going into turn 13, but only one more corner to go. It has been an incredible qualifying session. Jamie has given it everything, but it's not enough to defeat Zerkyie. The Haas taking provisional pole by 1/10. Lucas and Plum both on push laps in the final moments of this qualifying session. Lucas opening DRS on the charge towards turn 11 is rising up into P4. Lucas finding 2 tenths. Gupta out on track, hasn't found an improvement through the first sector. Plum has found some time, but it won't be enough in this moment to displace Jamie and Zerkyie. Lucas coming through the final corner now. It's Zerkyie, Jamie, Plum, the top three at the moment. But what can the Ferrari do? Can his name be thrown into the hat? P3 for Lucas. What about Plum? He displaces the Ferrari. And by 3 milliseconds are those two drivers separated, showing the tremendous battles that have been conceived in this Q3 session. Axel is the final driver to complete a lap in qualifying. He goes 9th. But my oh my. It was a heart-stopping 12 minutes of Q3 action. The drivers riding by the limit. But the limit is Zerkyie to everyone's hopes. And yet again, in Formula Premiere in Season 4, he is top of the pile. There is still a sprint race. There is still a Grand Prix to be had. But the opening honours around Zandvoort have gone to the Haas. In the longest season in Formula Premiere's history, we have seen a redrawing of the map. Zerkyie making his debut at the United States Grand Prix earlier on this season and made an instant impact, pole position and race victory. And ever since, the man has dared, darted and danced across the Formula Premiere scene. He looks to stretch his sensational run yet further. And on this Zandvoort tarmac, he wonders what he can attain. But with this sprint event, the drivers will be more focused on race runs. Although it is difficult to overtake around Zandvoort, you want a car that is more adjusted to the race because we have the sprint as well as the Grand Prix, so overtaking is more possible, and those that struggle on race setup are going to be vulnerable and found out. Let's just have a look if there's going to be a formation lap on, because I do not want to be caught out. Rules and flags. It's immersive, the formation lap experience. What I'd suggest, and someone I've just read it up. What I will say is that we'll probably have to redo the lobby before the race, just because a couple of drivers have been kicked out, and we don't want that. But the drivers are on the grid and are getting underway for the formation lap. And hello, we have got there. Oh no, we haven't. I honestly thought we had varying strategies amongst the front two. Did I miss out Gupta or something? completely take P3 at the last gasp moment. I must have ignored that. Nonetheless, we have Zerkyie from Jammy, then Gupta, Plom, Lucas, Hydrants, Aaron, thwart, Axel, Pudge Dog. Then we have Revokes, Curtis Chaos, Barney Dog, Soda Storm, Slick, Tessa, Tablet Storm, John, Akurdre, and Burton. Just remember that Slick is really partaking in this session. It's his AI that is taking over. But let's have a look at the tyre strategies. All of the drivers started on the medium compound tyres, which in a 12-lap race just is attestation of the severe tyre degradation we get around this circuit. We have punishing, long, undulating corners, and the drivers are wary of that. They want tyres that they can push with throughout the race, and the soft tyres do not give you that ability. But Zerkyie coming through the final corner and just wandering up to the grid. My word, this field is so spread out. Burton, the ghosted Burton, isn't even at the end, or it's just cleared the end of the second sector. Zerkyie and Jammy are going to be on the grid for an eternity. They're particularly under the boiling hot sun. Their tyres and their cars may just overheat. But this battle that has been brewing, not just for pole position, but mentally, the narrative cascades around them. Zerkyie versus Jammy. A battle to be prolonged beyond qualifying and into the sprint. A battle first into turn 1 and for the rest of this 12-lap sprint. By the shore, who can ride the wave? The wave of wonder. The wave of excitement, as we have 12 laps of sprint action beckoning us, and the lights are coming on. And as we go from the lights to the action, we're sprinting away in Zandvoort. Zerkyie getting a good start. Jammy looking to challenge him going into turn 1. Gupta getting a good getaway as well. Jammy to the inside of turn 1. Zerkyie is going to battle away with him side by side through the first couple of corners. Zerkyie around the outside of turn 2, the inside into turn 3. It is a marvellous defence from the Haas, but Jammy is not out of this battle just yet. Still running side by side through turns 4, 5 and 6. Instant action, exhilarating action on the first lap of this sprint. Side by side going into turn 7, and Jammy claims the upper hand. Jaw-dropping, absolutely jaw-dropping between the two on the first lap of 12 here in this sprint. Soda Storm is out in the Ferrari, crashing through turn 2, but Jammy takes the opening honours through the first couple of corners. Zerkyie, though, is not going to let go. Gupta third, Lucas fourth. I think Plom has not had the ideal start. He has dropped behind Lucas, but what an exhilarating first lap that was. Oh, there's still a couple more corners to go of it. You can see Jammy leading out in front. The big winners from the start. Tablet Storm up 7 places. The McLaren has rocketed off of the line. Absolutely stellar there from Tablet Storm. But through the final corner we have Jammy leading from Zerkyie, from Gupta, Lucas, Plom, Aaron. Then we have Hydrant, Pudge Dog, Axel, Barney Dog, and Barney Dog passing Tablet Storm then down the start, finish straight. So the Mercedes up into the top 10. Remember, points are only scored for the top 8 in a sprint. So from Axel downwards, they will not be earning points for their efforts in this 12-lap sprint. The only driver in the top 8 to have maintained their starting place is Gupta. My oh my, but Jammy leading Zerkyie, leading Gupta, Lucas and Plom. You see a bit of a train forming. The drivers will have to be the mark of difference when making an overtake, and throughout the entirety of this race, Tablet Storm not getting the ideal exit. Revokes chancing a move, perhaps going into turn 11. No, is Axel then spinning? No, it's not, it's Plom. It's Plom in the Aston Martin, who started this race from the second row. And he drops down into P18. Make that P19 there for Plom. What a hellish moment there for him. As we start lap 3, DRS enabled at last. The drivers will have the aid of DRS in order to overtake, which should be made that much easier. We have John running ahead of the Kurdrake, the AlphaTauri, currently occupying P13, having made up 5 places at the start. A Kurdrake also making up 5 places. You can see the end plates from John's AlphaTauri on the left-hand side has broken a little bit. That will trouble him a little bit. Perhaps progressively through the race that will trouble him as he leans on the tyres that much more. But you can see him there understeering, and the Kurdrake on the rear. Somehow he manages to keep it going. thwart joining in the fight as well, battling into turn 10. The Alfa Romeo around the outside. He puts down the power around the outside. The rear end drifting away from the Kurdrake, and after sensing an opportunity for P13, he's dropped down into P15. Through the final corner then for Jamie. He leads Zerkyie by half a second as we start lap 4. Zerkyie setting the quickest final sector we've seen so far in this race. Barney Dog trying to impose himself. And he follows in the tracks of Axel. thwart tried to make a move on John. And Plom making up a place on Curtis Chaos. So the comeback for the Aston Martin starts right here, right now. And he's up into P16, having just lost a myriad of places through that horrid spin. But rising on board then with Barney Dog's Mercedes, then we flash into turn 7. The drivers following each other nicely. This is a track that doesn't promote the greatest overtaking possibilities as we see in the calendar. As we saw in Belgium last week, you can overtake for fun around that circuit, particularly with the Kemmel straight. But around Zandvoort, it's a lot more different. It's a lot more challenging as well. Axel, he is running within the DRS of Pudge Dog, so that makes Barney Dog's efforts for overtaking the Alfa Romeo that much trickier. Starting lap 5 now. Jamie still leading Zerkyie, but the gap is coming down every single lap. Here comes a Kurdrake trying to make a move on John, which he does with absolute ease, but Plom joining in the battle as well. He senses an opportunity for the inside line going into turn 1. John will try and hang it around the outside, but I think with that front end plate missing, he's really struggling to keep it around the outside and is unable to maintain the place. So Plom now into 15th place, running in the wheel tracks of a Kurdrake now. And look at the front two. Look at the front 4. They're separated by just about 2 seconds. Which shows you how competitive they've been. It shows you that Zerkie's dominance, despite the stats from this season showing you, he is being threatened, he is being challenged around this Zandvoort circuit. Jamie leads the sprint as we get ready to begin lap 6 of 12. Jamie leading by less than a second. It's been the case throughout the entirety of this sprint. Gupta, though, chasing the cars ahead as Hydrant makes a move on Aaron going into turn 1. The Alpine looking to hang it around the outside, and it looks like he can do that promisingly, but Hydrant shows him the door, the exit of turn 1, and the Red Bull battling up into 5th place. On board with Revokes, whose name made theoretically no progression in relation to where he started this race from. Currently running behind Tabletstone, who's made up 7 places in this race. It's a mammoth effort from the McLaren. You want to maintain this top 10 position. Jamie just eking out the gap a little bit. It's not currently at a second, which would put him out of DRS threat, which could be critical to his chances of reigning supreme in this sprint. Revokes closing in on Tablet Storm, but not close enough going into turn 11. But you feel like if there's a moment that can arise, the Red Bull will seize it. Through turn 13, how early can you put down the power? Oh, that's Barney Dog in the Merc, spinning through the final corner. Revokes it, closing in on Tablet Storm. That much more down the start finish straight. Looking, seeking the outside line going into turn 1, braking that much later than the McLaren. A splash of splendour from Revokes, glittering with brilliance. A champagne move. He showed his hand, he showed it all when making that move on Tablet Storm, and my oh my, it was lyrical. A piece of art. Revoke's then up into 9th place, gaining 2 places and a heartbeat due to Barney Dog's spin, and then that's mammoth move on the McLaren. But Revoke's then up into P9. Tablet Storm now has to contend with Tessa right behind him. And still, out in front, Jamie leads by less than a second. Yellow flags out in sector 2. Zerkyie is the latest driver to go for a spin. He's down in 15th, he's down in 16th now. As here is Burton, running behind Curtis Chaos on the road. Curtis Chaos not having the ideal sprints as of yet. But Burton in a promising place to perhaps ask questions down the start, finish straight, as Tessa and Tablet Storm in a little ding-dong through the first corner. Tessa taking the inside line and taking 10th place from Tablet Storm's grasp. Tablet Storm thinking about opening up the 3rd apex, but is unable to do so and not be able to make a re-overtake on the Mercedes. I think the Mercedes is now marching away. Burton closing in on the Haas of Curtis Chaos as Degrosse going for a spin. Burton almost spinning out as well. Degrosse will retire from the sprint, so he will start the Grand Prix from 19th place. And here's Axel closing in on Pudge Dog. It's definitely more difficult to make overtakes on this straight, the slow speed corner that precedes it. Doesn't exactly encourage drivers following one another closely. It is a shorter straight. Lucas closing in on Gupta in the battle for 3rd place. The Ferrari with a wry smile as we close in on the final 4 laps of this sprint. Jamie still leading by 0.6 of a second. Gupta 3rd ahead of Lucas. Hydrant seems like he has opened up, eked out a gap to Aaron behind. See there, Axel late on the brakes into turn 3. Pudge Dog racing away from him through the exit. This, the battle for 7th and 8th, the final 2-point scoring positions in this sprint. That's Jamie! It's Jamie from the sprint lead! From leading. And as he loses the rear again, the tyre temperatures are sky high on that Williams as Zerkyie takes over the reins. He came close, Jamie, to sprint success, but a hammer blow has been dealt. With just 3.5 laps to go, that releases Gupta and Lucas up into 2nd and 3rd. Lucas sniffing a front row start for the Grand Prix proper. And what a return that would be after starting from P5, making his moves in this sprint, and he's made them marvellously. Here comes Flom, lurking on the tail of Barney Dog, going into turn 1, he chances it from a long way back. Barney Dog saw it coming and tries to cover him off, which he does to great effect. Flom trying to stick in the wheel tracks of the Mercedes. He is unable to do through the exit, really, of turn 3. But for Jamie, that is just dejecting. He had driven a bulletproof sprint, but the presence of Zerkyie has lit up and it has penetrated past him. And that is just gutting there for Jamie. It was such a great battle, such an epic battle between the two. It's a shame it will not be the front row for the Grand Prix proper, but Gupta defending P2 as that's Hydrant now spinning out, and Hydrant dropping outside of the top 10. And the spins are coming late as Tessa joins the list as well. But here's Lucas, again travelling in the wheel tracks of Gupta. But Tessa and Hydrant both spinning out later on in this sprint. Here comes Plum for a 2nd lap in a row, seizing a chance going into turn 1. They came mightily close to contact, and then they did make contact. Plum then being passed by Hydrant, the Red Bull taking back a place. And the Mercedes perhaps getting too greedy on the brakes. And he has to concede the consequences of that move. Gupta and Lucas on this penultimate lap of the sprint still battling it out. Lucas has more confidence as Aaron's the latest driver to spin out, and it's a chapter of melodrama in the closing stages of this thwart sprint. Jamie into the top 4, which will not be as bad as that spin made it out to be, but Aaron down into P9, out of the points in this sprint. And that is a real shame there for him, because we close in on the final lap of this sprint. Lucas is as close as he ever has been. Gupta can see the threat that the Ferrari man poses. He charges to the outside of turn 1, and before they apply the brakes, Lucas passages his way to the front row for the start of the Grand Prix. And if he can keep it together, he has gone from 5th to 2nd in this sprint. Trying to respond as he's thinking about a response going into turn 7. He thinks about the outside line. He isn't really going to be able to cut underneath the Ferrari. They're just too quick through the apex of turn 7. Revokes lurking on the tail of Axel and looking for a place. He's ahead of his teammate Hydrant after the Red Bull driver spun out just a couple of laps ago. But Revokes sensing an opportunity to improve his position in this sprint. What another epic sprint it has been. Zandvoort playing host to a 12-lap passage of precision, of drama, of twists and turns. But yet again, it is Zerkyie who sees the checkered flag first. It's pole for the sprint, and it's the very front for the Grand Prix proper. He converts pole position into sprint supremacy, and as he hunted down Jamie, he made him pay. Curtis coming through the final corner, closing in on Curtis Pell, but it's not going to be close enough come the line. Take a breath, everyone. That was mighty. Gupta saying he had to fuel save come the conclusion of the sprint, but let's just take a breath. I certainly need one, because that was just incredible. Zerkyie, pole position and sprint supremacy here at the Dutch Grand Prix. He betters Lucas and Gupta as Jamie has to settle for P4 ahead of Pudgedog, Excel, Tablet Storm and Aaron. Rounding out the top 8 with Revokes, Barney Dog, Plum, Akadre, Hydrant, Tessa. I'm not going to be able to get all of them. But yeah, basically that was an undulating sprint, exhilarating. And we have 36 further laps of racing. And while the sun may have been displaced, the action certainly will not. I'm going to fetch a drink and just recover after 12 epic laps, but make sure you stick around for what could be the most unbelievable, inconceivable Formula Premiere Grand Prix yet. just reading the Discord chat, Jamie saying that he damaged his rear wing during that spin off of the exit of turn 7, I believe. So that would have compromised him, although he still finished P4. He still has a reasonable chance of winning this race, but he is going to have to rely on drama, and he is going to have to rely on everything that Formula Premier is indicative of. But it's interesting with Jamie. Did he have that spin because he was running the tyre degradation just so close and so thin, meaning he was pushing early on and was able to maintain that gap ultimately, because Zandvoort is a place where it's difficult to follow. He was doing an awesome job, but that spin has cost him and has released Zerkyie into perhaps a world of his own. Although the skies are gathering overhead, this is going to be a race which is probably going to be at least a 2-stop. Mainly because safety cars are a feature, let's say, of lobbies in the Dutch Grand Prix. It is one of the best races of the season, always the Dutch Grand Prix. We didn't have it last season. Frankly, I was gutted. I think this race delivers like very few do on this Formula 1 game. It's an epic track, and reports earlier this week that Formula 1 was considering dropping the Zandvoort circuits are simply ludicrous and negligent to what Formula 1 represents. They race around the best circuits in the world, igniting in the most inspirational battles that we could perceive. This is a track that coalesces drama and overtakes of undulation and emotion. Let's hope it represents that here at the Dutch Grand Prix tonight. Jamie's saying he spun because he beached it on the outside curb. That makes sense. That does make sense. That's a shame for Jamie. It's good to see that he is in the top 4. He has pace. He has promise. But can he deliver on that promise? The drivers then starting their formation lap. You can see the tyre strategies that they could possibly go for, although that is never the case. But let's quickly go through the order and the tyre strategies for our drivers. So then Zerkyie starting on pole ahead of Lucas, Gupta, Jamie and Puzdog. All of the top 5 starting on the hard compound tyres. Axel and Tablet Storm 6th and 7th. They are on the mediums. Aaron, Revoked and Barney Dog round out the top 10 on the hard compound tyres. Plum 11th is on the same compound as Akerdra, Hydrant and Tessa on the mediums. Then we have John, the sole starter on the softs. Curtis Chaos in P16 on the mediums, ahead of Burton on the hards, Slick on the mediums, De Grosse on the mediums, and Sodastrom on the hards. A range of strategies which was perfectly predictable, as this track does open up a variety of strategies. It can open up the unknown, as we are about to understand in the next 36 laps. Slick joining the grids first. He hopes that he will be first through the majority of this race. He will hope that if there is a storm brewing, it will forge behind him. Lucas just getting onto his grid spot now. He started P5 in the sprint. He battled his way to second. If he can maintain that promise, that precision, and that performance, perhaps, just perhaps, the flag of Italy will be rippling in the Dutch sky in 36 laps time. De Grosse and Sodastrom joining us at the rear of the field, as well as Slick, it must be said. But we have our 20 drivers in formation. as we await the unknown, the daring, the inconceivable. Formula Premiere is about to install its latest and perhaps greatest episode. With a fervent crowd and an epic scene, there is no better place to be than feasting our eyes upon this Dutch Grand Prix. Waiting for the lights only adds to the suspense. Hopefully we'll be able to get underway very shortly. Is Seeso just actually on his grid spot? Yes. Oh. So the 5 lights are on, and we go from the lights to the action here in the Dutch Grand Prix. Lucas gets the perfect start. He jumps Zerkyie going into the first corner. Gupta joining the pair of them. Gupta to the inside. Gupta almost to the lead, but then Zerkyie and Lucas recover that. And Gupta down into P4. Cars ghosting absolutely everywhere. None more so than Zerkyie as Jamie passes him with Prix. Jamie's gone from 4th to 1st. An absolutely melodramatic first lap, just like in the sprint. But Jamie has gone from 4th to 1st. Lucas, it seems like he has front wing damage. He has a time penalty for exceeding track limits already, and the front wing has flown off. This is absolutely not. Oh no, and that's Zerkyie out. That's Zerkyie out, and it's Jamie off the road as well. The front two collide. And we have instant action around this Dutch Grand Prix. The leading pair collide. The pole sitter is out. And it seems like we might have a restart coming. And we are going to restart. Shame because Gupta leads from yeah, okay, we need to restart the lobby. Yeah, we need to restart this lobby. So then, don't we all love this game? I'm gonna come off it. So then, that was a little bit odd. We actually had a restart and technically a red flag. Well, let's call it a restart in the first season of Formula Premier. I can't remember which tier that was though. But the suspense only adds. So then let's join the rest of them. I hope. So then, so I was just taking a moment to take in the Discord chat there, but we should shortly be underway for the Grand Prix as our host. I don't know who the host is for the lobby. It's a Courage Ray. So we will he'll be convening the grid, and then we will shortly be underway. And Burton says she's got a new setup. I'm just literally relaying information from this Discord. So then, this just adds to the tension. We have many layers of it already. We are awaiting more. So, let's just talk through how we would expect the race to pan out. I've talked a lot about tyre degradation, but we saw quite a lot of the front runners, the top 5 initially on that start, looking to the hard compound tyres. Now, for these drivers, they want to be able to make stops late enough in the race where they don't come out into traffic, because you can just lose so much time in dirty air and following another driver in comparison to pure ultimate speed. So it wouldn't be surprised to see many drivers avoiding, well, definitely the softs at the start, but perhaps the mediums as well, as we saw on that initial start. Although you can gain, so it's a lot similar to the Hungaroring, this circuit. The undercut is so powerful. Overtaking is tricky. Tyre degradation is relatively high, but you do not want to be having to make a pit stop and then coming out behind other drivers. We will likely be seeing safety cars. That could be, well, that's likely going to happen. 36 laps is enough for, that will be enough action and enough battles really in 36 laps for safety cars to be a likelihood, let's say. But for Zerkyie, with the absence of slick in this race today, Zerkyie could take another massive stride to a championship that is just getting closer and closer to him. Zerkyie is currently 82, 85, 93 points in the lead. I was just adding up so far from today, obviously the qualifying and sprint result. He's 93 points clear in this championship. It's almost becoming an inevitability that it is to be his championship. But on this night, around this circuit, his dominance is being questioned. Jamie has taken the fight to him. Lucas will look to be rocketing off of the grid. Gupta looking as sharp as he has been since the start of the season, really. He looked strong around Spa, as well as Paul Ricard in Austria. I can maybe miss one race, but he looks strong, does Gupta, and Zerkyie is going to have to contend with those around him who are, well, really growing in confidence in this season. Perhaps not across the season will it be enough to dethrone Zerkyie, but on this night, in this race around Zandvoort, my oh my, we have a battle ahead and a battle to look forward to. So then, the clock has ticked down, and we are just closing in on the start of this race. And for goodness sake, Burton has left the session, but we'll give the drivers just some time to load their setups and choose their strategies, and hopefully in 5 minutes we will be underway for the start of the Dutch Grand Prix. The sky looks sunnier than on the first start. I wonder if they finished the Tier 2 race or the other tier race. That's ridiculous. My God, that's ludicrous. Oh, it's going to be a long night for Formula from this top tier. Oh my God. Right, no, I don't want to go to sleep, Burton. I don't want to go to sleep, but I'd like the race to start soon, unfortunately. F1 2022 isn't exactly the greatest instalment of the game we've ever seen. Burton has joined. Brilliant. And Blood Ben, really? Really? Really, fam? No, I'm joking. I'm never saying that again. But the drivers choosing their strategies. I knew you'd like it, Burton. Oh, I'm never saying that again. I can I live in Essex. Who cares? And Tessa has now left the session. This lobby is not exactly the kindest in the world, but We are closing in, I assure you, on this race start. Like I said, we've had throughout qualifying. Okay. I have a feeling we're not restarting on this lobby. So, this could be like the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix. My microphone was off there, that was clever. So we have the top 6 starting on the hards. We have Tablet, Storm and Aaron starting on the mediums, Revokes on the softs, Barney Dog on the mediums, then Plum on the hards, then everyone from Akurdre down to De Grotte on the mediums, and see Soda Strom on the hards starting from 18th. We've waited a while, and Revokes has left the session. And Hydrant's left the session as well. Whoopee. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I knew the moment I saw Hydrant leave the session. Oh god, we're starting a new lobby, people. Let's just get this over and done with. So then, we're back to square one. By the way, if you are watching from Tier 2, I hope you enjoyed your race. It's not called Tier 2. Why am I saying Tier 2? I hope you enjoyed your race and that if you are joining us, thank you so very much to for your company, as well as anyone else who is watching. It's great to have you on board with us here for the Dutch Grand Prix in Formula Premiere. Apologies for the wait. Codemasters has struck again, let's say. Just seeing the messages I have on my Xbox reminds me I have not been on my Xbox for forever. Okay, so what the hell is going on? Right, I'm on. I should not be in this lobby. Right, I am getting on my knees that this next lobby works. It's a figure of speech, Burton. I think you know that. Um, right. Okay. So who's hosting this lobby? Because you do not want it to be me. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Okay, I'm just deliberately saying Cliff of Wolf things now. That's probably not a Cliff of Wolf thing to say. So who's hosting this lobby then? Oh, right. Whoever came up with this music must have had a long day at work. Because it's awful. Getting past my bedtime at this rate. Oh, and the session no longer exists. Grand. Da, da, da. Come on, please. Hopefully we could have a race up by 9. The wheels on the bus go round and round. No, 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 no. All day long. You never want to be stuck on a desert island with me, put it that way. Yeah, we should. Yeah, I would hope that we'd just be able to get on with it and not do a formation lap because it is taking the chocolate digested biscuit at this point. Right. Oh, hydrogen's just right. Okay, let's grab myself an invite. Right. Okay. Let's hope. Let's hope that this is the lobby. Right, okay. Right, this is literally our last hope. This lobby, or I'll go crying into a dustbin or something. Um, we set up for such a promising race. Oh dear me, that would be such a great leaderboard, Burton, if that was the case. Right, okay. So, I think I have the energy. Okay, right. Okay. I'm just going to do with the utmost hope that this will see us into the race and one that we can remember. So, we've seen Zerkyie take pole, take sprint supremacy. Can he take the Grand Prix win? We're closing in on the race starts. We've waited just so long. I think it's been an hour since qualifying finished, which is astonishing, really. But we will shortly be underway. The anticipation grows relentlessly, endlessly. And fingers crossed, we can have a race to remember. Round 14, I believe it's probably round 15 because I actually skipped out the Belgian Grand Prix. But we're closing in on towards the end of the longest Formula Premier season in existence. Our third season on F1 2022. I don't think we're going to really miss it. Today has been proof of that. So then, the drivers will just adjust their setups and we will shortly be underway. One thing that has been said about Zandvoort is just how very tight the pit lane at the circuit is. It's certainly very tight, as we saw with Sergio Perez running over over Ferrari's wheel gun last year. It's just so tight. Not as bad as I believe Zolder used to be. That was absolutely horrific. I believe I'm pretty sure it was Zolder. 1981. I'm going to have to look this up. Oh, that's Dutch Grand Prix. I want the 81 Belgian Grand Prix. Yeah. The Belgian Grand Prix at Zolder, where the Acela mechanic lost his life, and then we had that horrific crash involving the two arrows at the start, which injured a mechanic. Thankfully, Formula One safety in the modern day has gone beyond those horrid weekends, such as the 81 Dutch Grand Prix. So yeah, we will have formation lap off. So we will be heading straight into the action, thankfully. It's been a long afternoon. But the clock is ticking down. So third time lucky? We most certainly hope so. As we saw definitely more than half an hour ago now, we saw an epic sprint, which followed on from an epic qualifying session. We have a Grand Prix diving into the unknown, which lurks ahead of us. Beaming off the shore could be a wave of wonder, of unpredictability and undulation as we go from the lights to the action here at the Dutch Grand Prix. Zerkyie getting away from pole position. Gupta launching up into second, launching into the lead. The McLaren, the inside line falls him into turn one. Zerkyie, though, hangs it around the outside. The two running side by side before Zerkyie claims the place. Curtis Chaos crashing out through the first corner, and the virtual safety car has been deployed. Jamie jumping up into P3. Zerkyie in the lead ahead of Gupta. But my oh my, did Gupta give it a good go. But Zerkyie was wise to the pressure from him. So Curtis Chaos out of the race through the very first couple of corners, bringing out the virtual safety car. It's not the full safety car, so the drivers won't be stacking up amongst one another. But we will soon be underway. You have to sympathise there with Curtis Chaos, waiting for so long and not running any further than a couple of corners or running further than one corner in this race. But the virtual safety car will soon be coming to a close, and we'll be back underway here at Zandvoort. Timing this to perfection is going to be imperative, and Gupta could have done just that, because through the final corner he follows in the wheel tracks of Zerkyie. No DRS just yet, but as we start lap 2, Gupta closing and closing and closing in and leading for the second lap in a row. The inside line falls to him, and this time around Gupta racing to the front. A name reverberating like it did in the past. And as Lucas now spinning out, Lucas dropping down into P16 after running in P4. And after starting from the front row, this Grand Prix has been a hellish venture so far for the Ferrari. But Gupta, this circus ignites around him once more. He leads the Dutch Grand Prix. And we turn the chapters of Formula Premiere once more. And we turn to the page of Gupta again. But for how long will he run out in front? Zerkyie is hounding him. He wants a piece of the action as Axel now with the latest driver to spin out. Axel dropping down the order once more. Hydrant thinking about a move going into turn 11, is unable to execute it. But Gupta through the penultimate corner and into the final corner now. Turn 14, the banked turn 14. It looks like Zerkyie is ready to impose himself as he gains a toe from the rear wing of the McLaren. He chances a move around the outside of turn 1, brakes as late as he dare. He's going to cut underneath Gupta, putting down the barrel, running side by side with Gupta, but the McLaren just muscles ahead for the moment. Zerkyie is asking the right questions. Jammy thinking about a move on the hats. They got so close to contact there, but the exit for Zerkyie gets him closer to the race lead. Barnagel and Plom having a right old scrap of P8 and P9. Plom thinking about a move to the outside of turn 7. The Mercedes claiming the racing line. Plom almost having a full face of the Mercedes rear wing. Going into turn 9. Not close enough to make a move. Behind him, a Kurt Drain Hydrant running side by side. The Red Bull thinking about a move going into turn 10. There's an absolute train forming behind Barney Dog at this moment. DRS enabled, and here comes a Kurt Drain thinking about a move on Plom. He has to just slot in behind. Hydrant's running out wide. Tessa will command a move perhaps around the outside, but he will have to settle in behind. Okay, it's time for Zerkyie. With the aid of DRS, he will look to muscle past the McLaren of Gupta. Gupta thinking about getting to the inside, but it's just no use. Zerkyie racing to the front, and Gupta's time out in front comes to an end. He runs out wide. The exit to turn 1. Jammy has to take evasive action, and then the Williams slips by. So it's Zerkyie leading from Jammy. Then comes Gupta. Then Tabulate Storm, who, like in the sprint, has had a momentous start to this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Lucas is closing in on Burton in the battle for 15th and 16th. Tessa closing in on Hydrant going into turn 7, but it's not close enough. And Lucas, well, what a horrid moment it was for him. Racing so well in the sprint, but a dream may have fractured in that spin in the very opening passages of this Grand Prix. But it takes on Burton, and he passes her and up into P15. Jammy, he is closing in on Zerkyie. Dipped the wheel onto the curb during the sprint, which lost him his advantage in the sprint. He dropped way down the order, but was able to fight back into P4, come the checkered flag of the sprint. He is now staring down the rear wing of Zerkyie as Excel going for a spin through the exit of turn 13, and he is having to settle with a horrid gap behind those ahead. But Zerkyie leading Jammy. It's the battle I guess a lot of people may have wanted. These two have been absolutely exhilarating from the very get-go here at Zandvoort. Jammy has reprieve. He really does. He has a chance, but he needs to impose himself. He needs to impose his presence behind the mirrors of the Haas, the Grotten Hydrant, battling away with Tess and the Mercedes, dropping down the order, dropping down into P13. Hydrant, is he close enough to the Grotte to try and battle past down this DRS straight before turn 11? Not quite as Burton. Oh, she's found the wall, or has she found the wall? Well, she taps the wall. She tries to put down the power, but from the back to the front, here comes Jammy, closing in on Zerkyie with the aid of DRS, closing in and in, but not close enough going into turn 1. It looks like Tessa is that. Yet it is Tessa spinning out, and then it's Pudge Dog being overtaken by Revokes, Barney Dog and Plum side by side. The Mercedes around the outside, and the Mercedes ahead. Hydrant battling past, it seems, the Alfa Romeo going into turn 2. Hydrant to the outside, running almost off the track. The Alfa Romeo giving a perfect response and hanging it around the outside of turn 3. What a great and stellar defence that was there from De Grotto, but Hydrant isn't going to give this up going into turn 7, thinking about to move to the inside, but remains in the wheel tracks of the Alfa Romeo. So some nice moves being made going into turn 1 in the opening stages of lap 6 of 36 in this Grand Prix. And rising on board with Jammy, who looks quick in the sprint. He looked the quickest of the lot during the sprint, and he's looking quicker than Zerkyie in this particular moment in history. adequate enough exit through turn 14. Once more, he will have DRS. He will hope to no longer be in the shadows of Zerkyie as he chances a move to the inside of turn 1. He's not close enough to make the move, but Plon thinking about a move of himself now going to the inside of Dog through turn 1. The Mercedes forced to the outside, almost makes contact there with the Aston Martin, straddles the curbs, has to close in behind, and that's Dog now. He's found the wall once, he's found the Armco as well. He's wrecked his front wing, he's down into 12th. And the Zandvoort circuit bites once more. We've seen plenty of spins so far today, and the drivers are falling foul of this circuit's demanding nature. Zerkyie has opened up a healthy gap now. It's 1.4 seconds. I think Jamie may have made a mistake somewhere. And after resisting the rigour and pressure of Jamie in the last few laps, Zerkyie has responded, and he looks to gallop away from the Williams. On board with Dog then, who can see Plum ahead of him. You can see a Kerdrig closing in on him behind. That's the Grotte spinning, I believe, through turn 13. And it is there. He almost taps the walls. He tries to put down the power. And what a struggle that would be for the Grotte. Dog managed to bring it back into the pits. Still, that is a horrid lap for the Aston Martin, who'd looked strong so far this weekend. But he's going to be racing no longer. De Grotte has now exited the race. I wonder if he's found the wall or wanted to just pull off the road. We'll see with Dog. No, we won't. No, we won't. But back out in front, Zerkyie leads Jamie by that same 1.4 seconds as he was earlier on. Hydrants has an interest of 9th place and is almost battling past the Alpine down the DRS straight. Going into turn 11, he has to settle in behind. The Alpine will have the aid of DRS going down the start-finish straight, so Hydrant's going to have to be adroit. He's going to have to be savvy. Is he able to execute the move as he goes through turn 14? He seems close enough. He does seem close enough. He has a healthy enough of an exit. Does he make a dart going into turn 1? Yes, he does. The Alpine was wary of that, running side by side. Hydrant putting down the power, and he spins and then clips the wall. Trigger happy on the throttle, and Hydrant's race just does not get any easier. It has been a weekend to forget for the Red Bull driver. Seeking precision, he ended up with a meeting with the wall, and Hydrant's going to have to pit at the end of this lap, and may have just thrown away his chances of a solid result here. Lucas back up into the top 10 after that earlier spin. He will most certainly hope to build upon that as Dog once more spinning. I don't think he's found the wall this time around going into turn 3. Nonetheless, it's becoming a struggle, is this race for Dog. As Jamie closing that gap to Zerkyie, only by a 10th though. Folks, it's very much in this battle for the podium. I think Tablet Storm, as he has started on the medium compound tyre, they are just starting to wear away in comparison to the hard compound runners, and it's particularly proven as Revokes is beginning to bring himself into battle. Into turn 7, you can see that McLaren's rear wing, and you can see that McLaren struggling. Can Revokes, and look at the confidence he is exuding, able to take a different line, able to put the power down. It's so smooth, it's so crisp. Tablet Storm has his hands full as the Red Bull of Revokes approaches behind. Aaron Cesarbo is also joining in this fast one after spinning in the sprint. The Alpine is battling back through the pack himself. But But through the final corner, Tablet Storm in the wheel tracks of Gupta. He's not close enough to make a move, but he does have the RS, which nullifies the threat of Revokes behind. Still a gap of, well, around 1.3, 1.4 seconds between Zerkyie and Jammy. Okerdre coming into the pits, and the Alpine becoming the first runner really to make a score. I was going to say scheduled pit stop, but he's changed his front wing, so perhaps he has clipped the wall, which was far from an ideal moment there from the Alpine. And like I said earlier on, understeer around this track really punishes you. If you have one brief moment of understeer, you're heading off the road and possibly into the wall. That's why we've seen so many drivers spinning out. We've also seen oversteer being a problem, as the drivers are unable to contend with the tyre degradation and the immense tyre temperatures that are being found by the drivers around this circuit. Tablet Storm, though, seemingly recovering those medium compound tyres. Perhaps he was dispensing with some pickup on those medium compound tyres, but the exit of turn 13 and 14 is imperative if he wants to guide himself past his teammates. Closing in down the start-finish straight. The two McLarens in formation with Revokes behind. It is the battle for P3, the battle for the podium. And each one of those three drivers has driven a really strong race so far. See Burton up in the top 10. You can also see Hydrants spinning once more. And the list of struggles for Hydrants concludes with that as he retires from the race. His journey to Zandvoort has been one of horror, and it ends on lap 12 of 36. Right, Revokes really close to Tablet Storm now, almost lurking on that rear wing. Tablet Storm himself is closer to Gupta, and it is that DRS he's getting from running behind Gupta that is saving himself really from Revokes behind. Zerkyie and Jammy still rather inseparable on their lap times, but Gupta, is he far enough ahead to not come under too much pressure from Tablet Storm going into turn 1? The answer was yes, he's very much got the advantage, and P3 is still his. Revokes less than a second behind P3. He runs P5, and Puzdog now out of this race. So the Aston Martin spinning out, finding the wall, and bringing out our first safety car of this race. My oh my, I'm surprised he's found the wall there, Puzdog. Nonetheless, this is going to spice up the action. What do the drivers do then? For Zerkyie, Jammy, Gupta, do they pit? Tablet Storm almost certainly will, to get rid of his withering medium compound tyres. Barney Dog and Excel both have drive-through penalties due to speeding under the safety car. But a twist, an unforeseen twist, is taking shape here at Zandvoort. Zerkyie comes into the pits. Jammy comes into the pits. Gupta is going to stay out on track. So Gupta will take over the lead of the race. And so then, it's between Jammy and Zerkyie. He switches then to the medium compound tyre. So too does Zerkyie. They rejoin this race 5th and 6th behind Gupta, Revokes, Aaron, Plom. And this safety car, like I said, has spiced up the action. It really has. 12 runners left in this race. We're only on lap 13. But Gupta, who started from the second row and took the lead earlier on in this race, after an epic first lap, he's back to the front again, ahead of Revokes, ahead of Aaron, and ahead of Plom. Zerkyie and Jammy Gonna have to use up a bit of tyre life. Gonna have to concede the reality of suffering with tyre degradation as they race past those ahead. It'll be interesting. Will they be able to execute this one-stop strategy, running over half the race on the medium compound tyres, or are they banking on another safety car? Zerkyie and Jamie weren't awfully clear of Gupta, so although they're going to have younger, fresher, softer tyres, is it going to be as easy as they may initially think? So many questions to be answered as we're on lap 14 of 36 here at the Dutch Grand Prix. And it's that man again, Gupta leading as Revokes. I thought he was going to come into the pits. Plom, though, will come into the pits. Okay, this is a rather perplexing call there from the Aston Martin. Getting rid of his medium compound tyres, getting rid of his hard compound tyres, switching to the mediums. Zerkyie and Jamie both moving up a place. Zerkyie probably stuck in neutral to save as much fuel as possible. But Plom, having made that pit stop whilst the drivers were in formation, drops outside of the point. So that was not an ideal moment there for Plom. His teammates crashed, brought out the safety car. Now because of it, he is outside of the top 10. He has got some overtaking to do if he wants to close back in on the front end positions. Okay, I've just noticed, and I've just been reminded in the Discord chat, as the safety car pulls into the pits at the end of this lap, a particularly poignant moment. Look at that flag beside Zerkie's name. He has a 5-second time penalty to be served. He was hoping for a clean race. It's certainly not going to be straightforward. He's going to have to contend with the time penalty. Revokes is nowhere near Gupta. He is close enough now, almost tapping into the rear of Gupta. But down the start-finish straight, when does the McLaren choose to put down the power? It's his prerogative, and it's his decision. Revokes lurking on his tail. Barney Dog passing while he's going into the pits. But we're back underway here at Sandport. Gupta racing away from Revokes. Aaron in P3 around the outside of Revokes perhaps. No, he's unable to make a move, but Zerkyie says thank you very much and slips past Zerkyie in both. Instantly as this safety car restarts as Revokes finds the wall, drops down the order and damages his front wing. Zerkyie released up into second place as instantaneously we find action and yet more at this safety car restart. And Zerkyie dancing, literally dancing around this Sandport circuit. He has a car in between himself and Jamie. Jamie tries to make a move on Aaron Cesaro. Remember, Zerkyie has a time penalty, so he wants to be far enough ahead, 5 seconds ahead, in fact, of Jamie. Zerkyie taking the lead of the race going into turn 11 and going from fourth to third in one lap. Zerkyie has found his form again. He found his race lead. So Gupta down to second, and that was just a lack of gods there from Zerkyie. Jamie looking to pass Gupta down this start-finish race, utilising the slipstream. And within a lap of this safety car restart, Zerkyie and Jamie take over the ascendancy once more. Plom coming into the pits once more to change his front wing. Just doesn't get any easier there for him. Barney Dog coming into the pits again. Rather confusingly, Revokes also joining them in pit road. And here comes Aaron Cesaro. He also has not pitted, similar to Gupta, but he looks a lot stronger and a lot more confident at this safety car restart. Burton up in 7th place ahead of a Kurdrake. Burton doing an absolutely stellar job there. Lucas running almost into the rear of the Alpine, but getting not the strongest of exits. But Lucas battling up, or back up into the top 5. He is ignited in this race, is Lucas. The Ferrari chasing perhaps a podium place after running last earlier on. What a comeback drive it has been from the Ferrari driver after starting from the front row for this Dutch Grand Prix. Zerkyie leading by around 6/10 of a second. And here comes a Kurdrake imposing himself in the rear wing of Burton. The AlphaTauri braking as late as she dare into turn 1. A Kurdrake forced out onto the curb and has to settle in behind the AlphaTauri. It was forceful from Burton, but it was a strong enough defence to maintain that 7th place. Aaron still in the wheel tracks of Gupta. Jamie still in the wheel tracks of Zerkyie, but Zerkyie has that 5-second time penalty to be served. So the pendulum may have swung before Jamie. He's within a second of Zerkyie. Lucas is more than within a second of Aaron. In fact, he now runs ahead. Aaron knew he would have to acquiesce that position going into turn 11. The Ferrari, with little hesitation, seized it, and now his eyes are set upon Gupta as he rages down the start-finish straight with the aid of DRS. With these medium tyres, it's a brewing confidence in that Ferrari. He closes in on Gupta, in, but not close enough. Here comes the Kurdrake across the line, battling to the inside of Burton going into turn 1. Burton forcing him to the very inside, trying to take as tight line as possible, and then trying to slingshot around the outside. But she has to settle in behind a Kurdrake, but runs P8, and Burton is most certainly on for points in this race. Excel's nowhere near the pack. Revokes, well, was 39 seconds behind Burton. She could be on points for Burton, and what an epic drive that would be. Zerkyie still leading from Jamie. The gap stabilising at under a second. Lucas always literally pouncing on the rear of Gupta. He goes to the inside of turn 13. Gupta, I think, deliberately wanted that, but he struggles off of turn 13. He's disconnected. I think he has. Gupta slowing. Comes into the pits. Was it a puncture? It's certainly a time penalty as he comes into the pit lane. He applied the brakes too late. But Lucas up into P3 ahead of Aaron and Tabulous. And Gupta serving his time penalty, and that's gutting there for Gupta. That's really perplexing as to what went on there. Nonetheless, he's down into 9th as Excel registers the quickest lap so far in this race, a 1:12.995. Jamie is in the box seat right now. He's showing tremendous speed beneath the rear wing of Zerkie's. Vokes now sets the quickest lap of this race so far. Through the final couple of corners, Zerkyie still leading from Jamie, and Jamie, who has won twice this season, looking to make it 3. In addition to his wins at Sao Paulo and Circuit Paul Ricard, Excel spinning once more and is about to be lapped by Gupta. Aaron coming into the pit stem, Tabula up into P4, a Kurdrake up into P5. But Zerkyie still less than a second ahead of Jamie, and the aid of DRS is keeping Jamie in contention. He knows he doesn't have to battle past the Haas on the road. He may be biding his time, but he's looked solid enough. He has looked quick enough throughout this race. And he is posing a serious threat to Zerkyie. He led the sprint for so very long. He spun with just 3.5 laps to go. He battled back to come home P4 in the end. And he is staring down another possible win here in Formula Premiere. 21 laps have been completed, 7/12. That's as good as maths as you'll ever get with me. But Jammy, you can see it's not as if, well, he's obviously pushing. He's pushing hard because he wants to keep within 1 second of Zerkyie. But he doesn't need to take any major risks, particularly in wheel-to-wheel combat. He knows as long as he stays within 5 seconds of Zerkyie, and if he doesn't collect a penalty of his own, the lead and most certainly the race win will be his. Still a long way to go in this, of course. We've only really just cleared half distance. The longer this race brews, the more Jammy solidifies himself in this battle for the lead. Does Zerkyie think about making another pit stop, triggering another stop? We'll have to see. It will be such an effort for these two to guide these tyres to the finish. Because they are pushing, and you can see that. But Zerkyie still leading the gap. Now around half a second as we start lap 23 of 36. Lucas P3, he's raced away from Tablet Storm, who's 3 seconds ahead of Zerkyie. Burton 6th, ahead of Flom, and Burton now coming into the pit lane, getting it stopped in time. As she comes into the pits, will drop down the order, possibly down into P10. But she's looked strong, as for Burton. She's looked really strong. And after not partaking in qualifying, she has avoided the carnage. And she has bolted on. It looks like the medium compound tyres has come out almost side by side with Barney Dog. Instead comes out behind, but rejoins the race in P9. About 10-15 seconds ahead of Revokes. Zerkyie still out in front, Jammy on his tail through the banked turn 14, and with DRS wide open once more. Haas really suffering from the pressure of Jammy, but he just can't get rid of him. Jammy has the speed that has matched that of Zerkyie so far this race. And the Williams is playing the patient game, as you can see there. The rear end just stepping out as we almost complete 2/3 distance of this Dutch Grand Prix. Zerkyie having little moments mid-apex of turn 7. Doesn't run him off-road, really. But Jammy is, well, just biding his time. And for Gupta, this is a massive shame for Gupta. He led earlier on. He led at the safety car restarts. But he's now down in P11 and a lap down on our race lead. Is Axel pitting once more? So too is Barney Dog. In fact, Axel's a lap behind Barney Dog. And through the final corner once more, Zerkyie ahead of Jammy. The gap now it's around 7/10 of a second. Other than these two, the closest battle out on track is actually between Tablet Storm and Zerkyie for the battle for 4th and 5th. But Tablet Storm looking comfortable in his position right now. Let's ride on board then with Jammy, who has been fixated upon the rear wing of Zerkyie for just so long. He just knows that he has to keep it clean. One could say that because the track is so fiendishly difficult to set up a move on. Jamie is perhaps suffering with that, but he's playing the patient game, be rest assured. He sees the bigger picture right now. And the picture is Zerkyie and what stands before him. Now the start-finish straights. Again, the gap's around 6-7 tenths of a second. Jamie just can't afford any mistakes. If he drops behind the second of Zerkyie, then it could get really, really interesting between these two. But Zerkyie seems like he still has a decent amount of battery left. That's not the problem right now. The problem is Jamie, who has been a thorn in his side throughout this entire event. Seems like Plum is now starting to close in on a curve in the battle for P5. Remember, the Aston Martin does have a time penalty, so that will set him back a little bit. But with 10.5 laps to go, he'll be positive. He'll be positive about what he can achieve in these final few laps. The gap is just coming down all the time. Around this track where you can really suffer with tyre degradation, it is particularly noticeable between those two. 10 laps to go then, 10 more tours of this Dutch Grand Prix, which we waited an eternity to start. But we are closing in on the conclusion to this Dutch Grand Prix, which has seen already 5 retirements and only 12 drivers left. Right, Zerkie's really starting to stretch his legs now. The gap is over a second. This could be irrevocable. If Jamie is unable to close back in on Zerkyie, although he does have DRS down this straight, but if he's unable to close back in within a second of Zerkyie, if Zerkyie has the muscles and the tyre degradation and the confidence to race away from the Williams, it could be a late, poignant shift towards him. Plum is now on the rear wing of a Zerkyie. He is closed in so drastically and just so quickly. Zerkyie registering the quickest lap of the race so far. He's 1.3 seconds clear of Jamie. That could be a potentially pivotal lap in the destiny of this race. This could be a particularly pivotal exit in the destiny of Plum's chances down this straight. So Zerkyie going defensive. The Aston Martin closing in, but not enough as they head on into turn 1. The Alpine having good top end speed to compete with the Aston Martin's use of DRS. But if you can get a promising enough exits off of turn 3, which doesn't really do the Alpine is good on traction. And Plum just settling in behind. He'll have his chance. He has many more chances. With 8.5 laps to go, he should grab this chance quickly. Through the exit of turn 10, look how much that Alpine struggles. The Aston Martin will have DRS. But again, he's just not close enough. Another DRS zone beckons for him as Zerkyie opens up the gap to 1.7 seconds. Could those medium compound tyres start to drift away from Jamie? Could the destiny of this race start to drift before Zerkie's presence? We'll have to see again. Zerkyie has such terrific top-end speed, utilising his battery down the start-finish straights, and the Aston Martin just cannot make an impression on him. Through turns 2 and 3, the Aston Martin trying to open up the corner, then will put the power down. Yellow flags out on track. Revokes has spun. He has brought out the virtual safety car. Just as Plum thought he could make a move on a Zerkyie, the virtual safety car is out. So that makes it a double retirement for Red Bull in a race of pure and utter struggle. Revokes was running in the top 2 at one stage. It all went so wrong at the safety car restart as he found the wall at turn 3, and ever since it just hasn't got any better. I think the neutral will be quite disappointed that it's not a full safety car, because that would have really erupted the action here at Zandvoort. But we will have close to 6 laps worth of racing to the checkered flag as Lucas makes a pit stop. Tablet Storm will pass him, but Lucas will be on a lot softer, a lot younger tyres, and will hope to claim that place back. Will he be ahead of Zerkyie? He most certainly will. The Alpine having to settle for P5 at the moment with the Aston Martin behind him. So Lucas, by making that pit stop, will have just a handful of laps to close back in on Tablet Storm, and that's really an ideal restart to his races and pit slow, putting down the power. Having said that, he is closing in metre by metre, and that's Gupta now slowing down, allowing Barney Dog through. But Gupta is in the points, though he is a long way behind our race leaders. Here's Plom once more, reigniting in battle behind Zerkyie, as Axel now advances up into the top 10, and consequently the points once more. You can see Plom just not competing with the Alpine down the straights, even with the aid of DRS. Okay, through the final corner, the Aston Martin is as close as he has ever been. We will have DRS. The Alpine, we know, has strong top-end speed, but the Aston Martin thinking, chopping, dancing around the outside of turn 1. Zerkyie try and keep him behind, but as the Aston Martin tries to battle past, it is a flicker of fantasy. Magnificent, masterful from Plom. It was a blissful overtake, and Zerkyie just had no response. The Aston Martin battling into the top 5, and does so with a stunning, just a stunning overtake. Gupta once more slowing down, the car sparking away as this race just doesn't get any easier for him. Lucas setting the quickest middle sector we have seen thus far in this race. He's just over a second behind Tablet Storm. Zerkyie nearly 2 seconds clear, is 2 seconds clear of Jamie. Lucas setting the quickest lap of the race so far. But with 5 laps to go, Zerkyie eke out the gap. It would be a tour de force from Zerkyie if he was to win the race. Jamie, it's, well, is he saving fuel? Is he struggling with his tyres? Nonetheless, he isn't in the same postcode as Zerkyie right now, and is most certainly unable to keep up with him. Here's Lucas on the tail of Tablet Storm. He wants his podium position back. He puts down the power off the exit of turn 10. That McLaren becomes a more realistic endeavour, metre by metre. He'll have his chance down the start-finish straight, which has proven to be the most effective opportunity to make a move. Gupta trying to give his teammate DRS. Smart, adroit teamwork there from Gupta, but will it be enough? Tablet Storm will try and go defensive, trying to preserve his podium place, but Lucas trying to dart down the inside into turn 1, and Tablet Storm on those weaker, older, harder compound tyres just doesn't have the response. With a podium position now for Lucas. It's a race to the checkered flag, and a really respectable race after running down the order. He started from the front row. Okay, he spun on lap 1, but he's battled back valiantly. And the one-time race winner in Formula Premiere in Season 4 has demonstrated his prowess in strategy and racecraft once more. Just 3 more laps to go then, and Zerkyie is closing in on the checkered flag. But he's not far enough ahead of Jamie just yet. At 2.7 seconds. Is he saving fuel, Jamie? I'm not too sure, but the unnegotiable truth is that Zerkie's romping away from him. And if Jamie isn't careful, he could lose this race win. So many contenders for driver of the day. You're looking at one of them right now, Burton, running in 8th after starting from P16 and not even partaking in qualifying. She hopes to run a smooth race to the checkered flag. As Axel slows down, he may have had a problem through the exit of turn 12. But Zerkyie now opening up a gap of 3.2 seconds. If he can make up 2 seconds on these final 2 laps, Zerkyie could overcome, astonishingly, his 5-second time penalty. And in the Williams garage, nails are being bitten, nerves are mounting. Jamie is struggling and is losing sync with Zerkyie. What could have been a race win for Jamie, his chances are dripping away. Zerkyie is publishing some pulsating lap times now, and he needs them. Boy, does he need them if he is to guide himself to race victory. It's been a different dimension to this race. Zerkyie, in trying to overcome his 5-second time penalty, is doing his utmost. It's dangerously close for Jamie now. 1 more lap to go. And the gap that Zerkyie needs to overcome is a second. In fact, it's going to be less than that. Or is it? Just over a second. That's all that Zerkyie needs. I say all that Zerkyie needs. It'd still be a tremendous moment for him if he could overcome Jamie. Maybe Jamie was just trying to save up some battery, I'm not too sure, but Zerkyie is unleashing his potential on the final lap of this Grand Prix. Pole, sprint success, and agonisingly close to race victory. This 5-second time penalty has required Zerkyie to find his pure and refined speed. Jamie just hasn't been a match for him in these last few laps. Zerkyie is looking for every single millisecond. The gap opens up and up and up. And it's getting astonishingly close now. Zerkyie will round the final corner. He will see the checkered flag and he will hope. Boy, will he hope that was enough. Jamie coming through the final corner now. He will see the checkered flag and the race win is his. By 0.3 of a second, Jamie does it. For the 3rd time this season, he stands on the top step of the podium as Plum spinning and damaging his front wing. And Kurtre passes him. Aaron will close in. And as Plum has a time penalty to be served, he could lose P6 as well. No, because Aaron spun himself. At the last gasp moment, both Plum and Aaron spinning out. And here comes Barney closing in on Burton in the battle for P8 and P9. This could be such a momentous result for Burton. She has to contend with Barney Dog behind him. It's going to be a battle to the line. The AlphaTauri gripping with hope, channeling her inner self. Bonnie Johnson thinking about to move to the inside of turn 14. Burton trying to close the door. It's going to be a photo finish and one that Burton prevails in. A thrilling ending between the two. And a thrilling race which sees Jamie come out on top. Burton, look, earning herself driver of the day. What a great feel-good race that was for Burton. What a brilliant race that was. A shame for Zerkyie. Perhaps I'm not too sure as to why he got that time penalty. We'll have to see why. There is Jamie on the top step. So then, Jamie back to the top. And what a race that was. Zerkyie gave us his all in the end, but by 0.3 of a second. He drove a fantastic race to Zerkyie, but that time penalty has punished him severely. Jamie then takes the race victory. Let's just scroll down the leaderboard. So Jamie, Zerkyie, Lucas rounding out the podium. Then we have Tablet, Stormer, Kerdre, Plum, Aaron, Burton, Barney, Dog, Excel. Then we have outside the points, Gupta, Revokes, Pudge Dog, Hydrant, DeGrotte, Tessa, and Curtis Chaos. We saw the checkered flag, people. We saw the checkered flag. The race found its ending. What a race that was. Yes, okay, Burton, I will shout you out. Very well done to you, Burton. What a great... Yes, Burton, okay. Very well done to Burton. Drive of the day, as I've said. P8, as I've said. A great race, as I've said. You're welcome, Burton. Okay, a bit over the top. But yeah, a fantastic race. Oh, Burton's loving life. Yeah, I forgot Burton spun earlier. Right, okay. So, I am probably going to have to bring this stream to a close, but it's been great being back here in the Formula Premiere commentary booth. Yeah, what an event it was. It was Jamie who prevailed in the end. It was him that rose to glory on the Zandvoort tarmac. If you're thinking of wanting more action next Saturday, don't even bother, because we won't be here. We've got a week's break. I know, look at us, week's break. And then the week after, if the idea of a king's coronation sickens you, like it does some people, well, not sickens you, but you could not care less about it, like me, then Formula Premiere is the place to be. I have no clue where we're racing next. I have a feeling, though, that that is the European season over. Let's have a look before I go. Bahrain is next. What a race that will be. But Make sure you return for when we return on the 6th of May, when the next chapter of this Formula Premier Championship closes in, and perhaps poignantly for Zerkyie, a title winning campaign. Until next time, let everyone, goodbye.